Well, our price target for Tesla over the next 5 years is that we think it has an expected value of roughly $2,000 per share.
And they're showing that by October 2024, they hope that their compute will reach 100 exaflops, which is 20 times more than the 4.5 exaflops that it disclosed during AI Day last September. And really, to put this in context here, they're comparing it to NVIDIA A100 chips. So that's going from 14,000 of those A100 chips to the equivalent of 300,000 A100 chips. And then to take one more step back and contextualize that within NVIDIA itself, NVIDIA shipped an estimated 350,000 of these server GPU units in the last 12 months. So, if you're just backwards looking, the 100 exaflops from Tesla would make up roughly 30% of the revenue of NVIDIA over the past 12 months.
In this video, more proof that Tesla is just a car company and investors can safely ignore anything at all to do with data and autonomy because the implications aren't profound. And even if they were, Tesla doesn't have anything that Toyota doesn't have, so there's absolutely nothing to see here. There is plenty to see over on Patreon and Twitter subscriptions though, so check the links in the pinned comment if you'd like access to loads more exclusive content. And quick heads up, I'm going to be dropping a fire video on Patreon the next 24 or so hours. Absolute must watch for every investor. So check the links in the pinned comment to join.
Today, we're talking Tesla AI. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm good. I just completed the Florida to Michigan trip. I would say 90% done by full self-driving. So that was pretty cool. It was pretty smooth. Got to hand it to him. It was pretty smooth.
Any bugs that you'd like to call out here that were nagging you along the way?
Nothing too intense. I would say it gets a little skittish around the semi-trucks, but to be honest, I get skittish around semi-trucks. Like, I do not like driving near semi-trucks, so and I sent the data to Tesla so they can see. But it definitely is a little hesitant around the larger vehicles on the road.
Nice. Packaged up by mail, sent them the data. It's all good. But that actually dives right into the first topic here, right? Tesla comes out with a new Twitter handle, Tesla AI. One of the first charts they post, we'll share it here as well and talk about it. It's a classic up and to the right chart. So the axes are what matter here. And they're showing compute. And so this is important because this is what we believe to be the bottleneck for Tesla going from, what helped you drive to Michigan to full self-driving and robo-taxis in reality. And they're showing that by October 2024, they hope that their compute will reach 100 exaflops, which is 20 times more than the 4.5 exaflops that it disclosed during AI Day last September. And really, to put this in context here, they're comparing it to NVIDIA A100 chips. So that's going from 14,000 of those A100 chips to the equivalent of 300,000 A100 chips. And then to take one more step back and contextualize that within NVIDIA itself, NVIDIA shipped an estimated 350,000 of these server GPU units in the last 12 months. So, if you're just backwards looking, the 100 exaflops from Tesla would make up roughly 30% of the revenue of NVIDIA over the past 12 months.
If you know, you know. And if you don't, I'll explain. Tesla is just a car company, so we should totally ignore this because it's not like just a car company in the next 12 months having as much compute as would be represented by about 30% of NVIDIA, the entire company's last 12 months in revenue, is worth paying attention to because Tesla is just a car company. They don't have anything that Toyota doesn't already have. Shout out to Craig Irwin for that one. And since they're just a car company, why would they even need 100 exaflops of compute? It's not like they have a shit ton of data that they need to use to train their full self-driving technology because they're just a car company and full self-driving is actually artificial intelligence, which isn't compatible with being just a car company. So we should definitely ignore this. It's not important. It's not huge. This isn't a very clear sign of what's about to come. And compute isn't actually the bottleneck in order for Tesla to massively improve the capabilities of their full self-driving software. Data in, data is used to train, AI gets better, capabilities improve, becomes more safe. Next minute you have robo-taxis awakening because Tesla's just a car company. So let's move on.
Obviously, if we go out a year, don't expect those ratios to hold because NVIDIA is also ramping pretty quickly.
Okay, so my first question is why? Why does Tesla need so much compute capacity? I mean, you're talking about a massive amount of compute. I think this would make it one of the largest supercomputers in the world once it's fully set up. So what do they need this for? Why are they, going after this? Yeah, I would love your thoughts here.
Well, obviously, Tesla doesn't need this because they're just a car company. So I don't even know why they want this amount of compute. I guess they're just trying to waste money, not unlock a decatrillion-dollar opportunity. As Tesla stock investors, we should definitely not pay attention to this because it's not profound and the implications aren't seismic, and therefore let's just ignore this. Please move on. Stop talking about AI and compute. People might start buying Tesla stocks. I want to keep, just between us.
This is driving their training for full self-driving and robo-taxis.
Okay.
And the reason that Tesla needs so much compute, we'll pull up actually another chart here that Daniel McGuire, one of the associates on the autonomous technology and robotics team made, showing how much time it's taken each of these companies to reach the most recent 1 million real world miles. And so Tesla has this huge fleet of vehicles that are out on the road collecting data. And so it took just 14 hours for Tesla to collect, let's say, 1 million real world miles. Compare that to Cruise at 3 months and Waymo for 2.5 years. And so you need all of this compute to try and solve this problem at scale, not just in a geographically constrained area.
Okay, so I've just got off the phone with the fact checkers and also the FBI who can confirm that this is in fact Russian disinformation. Also, there was no laptop. So I just want to confirm, as you can see on screen now, this is false, it's propaganda, it's not true. The data that seems to suggest that Tesla's accumulating in 14 hours as much data as it takes Cruise 3 months to accumulate, and Waymo 2.5 years to accumulate. It's a Russian disinformation. Therefore, we can also ignore this because if we ignore it, then we don't have to think about the implications. Plus, it's not true anyway, so there are no implications. Moving on.
Got it. And so what happens to the compute? Where do they dedicate the compute after they solve FSD? Because I think Elon, in a tweet, he mentions, this is in an effort to get full self-driving to be 10 times more performative and safe than a human driver. So once they achieve that, do they then, strive for 100 times more performance, or do they look to reallocate this compute?
Yeah, I think it's not going to be a black and white line in the sand here. And so there will be constant evolution on the performance for full self-driving. And then the other thing is, it's not just full self-driving. One of the reasons for launching, Tesla AI is that this is computer vision for how to operate in the world. So it's not just for cars on the road. It could be for Optimus or other robots moving through factories, through your home. And so I think there will be a continued drive for demand for these training computers because, we're kind of just at the start here of this AI wave and finding out what's really possible.
And then maybe we just circle back to this chart and this data that we have on, total miles accumulating to each one of these companies and the respective full self-driving solutions.
All right, who do I call at YouTube to have these guys banned for hate speech? Now, in case you're unaware, Waymo actually identifies as having more data than Cruise and Tesla. And therefore, if you say they don't, you're engaging in hate speech and you'll be banned. If Waymo says they have more data than Cruise and Tesla, then they do. The end. At least according to YouTube's current policy. Fucking psychopaths. I'm not even kidding, by the way, although we're not referring to data, but I don't even want to say what we are referring to because I too might get myself banned. Back to the topic at hand. Please ignore this data lead. It's nothing. There's no implications. It's not going to unlock a multi-deca-trillion-dollar opportunity. And anyone who says otherwise should be immediately silenced.
How far ahead do you think Tesla is when you look at this data advantage and then also the training capacity that they're now building up? Obviously, these two other companies, they potentially have the training capacity behind the scenes. I don't know if they do. Do they? Do you know? I'm assuming Google with what they have, I'm sure, but maybe not.
Yeah, so I think you've asked a lot of good cutting questions here. So maybe we just differentiate the three here, right?
Yeah.
Because Tesla obviously is not running a robotaxi currently. Cruise and Waymo both are, right? So that's the first difference. And
Right.
I think it's an important thing to note. One, it's like people ask, when will there be autonomous cars? The answer is they're already here, right? So it's possible, they're operating, people are paying for them. The real question is, how long does it take to scale? And so that's kind of the, $1 trillion question, if you will. And so that's really why Tesla is going about it in a different way and collecting data from, people like you who've bought the vehicle and are driving it in real world conditions. And so then going back to the other question you asked is, why does Tesla need this compute? What about Cruise and Waymo? So they likely do need the compute, but if you look at the amount of data,
It's not
maybe they're not
nearly.
right. So maybe they're not actually compute constrained. Maybe they're still data constrained.
Spoiler alert, this is correct. Not only are they data constrained, but it's not just the volume of data, it's the quality of data. Cruise and Waymo are operating in tiny little geo-fenced specks. Tesla vehicles operating FSD Beta are operating everywhere in North America. Other parts of the world coming soon. Tesla has a huge advantage in terms of the quality and quantity of data. The most important data, edge cases. If your fleet of vehicles aren't operating in all conditions, in all areas, in all geographies, you're not going to have certain data. You won't be able to train your neural nets to improve the capabilities of the software. And per the previous Russian disinformation that's already been discredited by the fact checkers and the FBI, so don't worry, it's not true. The fake news seemed to suggest that Tesla was collecting data at more than 150 times the rate of Cruise, more than 2 orders of magnitude, and Tesla is collecting data at more than 1,500 times the rate of Waymo. 3 orders of magnitude. But remember, it's fake news, ignore it, no implications, let's move on.
And so, why is a million miles? It's just an easy thing to measure. But really, you can think about it in terms of corner cases or accidents. And it's like, how many novel things are you seeing in a million miles? And, every 14 hours, Tesla could be seeing 2 to 3 interesting things, whereas maybe Cruise is seeing interesting things every 3 months, and Waymo's seeing every interesting things, every 2.4 years.
The disrespect. He laughed. He couldn't help. He laughed while he was saying that. I mean, it's laughable, so I get it. But Ark Invest, the folks are generally fairly well composed and neutral. But bro, when you can't even get through a sentence without laughing at Tesla's so-called competition, pretty strong sign that there's nothing to see here. Move along.
And again, this is real world data, and all of these companies are simulating and doing things like that. But if you could simulate all of the corner cases, then that's almost the equivalent of autonomous driving being solved, right? The fact that you don't know what they are means you can't simulate them. And that's really why this real world data is so important.
And then my last question, just to kind of really hammer this home. When we talk about the compute capacity, Tesla in the past has used and worked with NVIDIA. And do you think they'll still plan to work with NVIDIA and this is more supplemental compute that they're building with Dojo? Or, what are your thoughts around kind of how they'll get to that 100 exaflops? Because that's an enormous number. So yeah, curious.
Yeah, I think you hit it nail on the head there with supplemental. And I'd actually draw the comparison to batteries here. And right, when Tesla came out and they said, we're going to build a battery factory, everyone's like, oh, that's bad for Panasonic. And they're like, whoa, no. They're like, we're going so fast that we want Panasonic to build as fast as possible. And we're going to build our own because we need additional batteries, not just what Panasonic can provide. And I think the exact same thing's happening here.
Let's pretend that what they're saying is actually true. What would the implications be if a company is seeing bottlenecks into the future with very ambitious growth plans in terms of batteries, GPUs, and thinking to themselves, okay, the entire industry isn't moving fast enough. We're just going to have to do this ourselves. But even if we do this ourselves, our plans are so ambitious and our rate of growth so profound, so fast, that not only will we develop a better, superior solution in-house and scale that up as fast as we can, we will also continue to purchase as much as we can from other suppliers in the marketplace at the same time because we're trying to grow that fucking fast. Call me crazy, but in a hypothetical scenario in which these were actually true statements about a certain company, to me that would suggest that this particular company was extremely serious about their growth ambitions and it would be worthwhile listening to the things this company has been saying about growth as it relates to things that require batteries and compute. Such a company might have a very ambitious target for a certain number of electric vehicles being sold per year at a future point in time. Such a company may also have ambitions of awakening a gigantic fleet of millions of robo-taxis with an over-the-air software update. Those are the implications that I can imagine if such a thing were true about a particular company, but as we know, this is all false, and so we should definitely ignore it. And no one will regret ignoring this in a few years' time.
NVIDIA is building as quickly as they can. Prices for their hardware have increased because there's such a demand with this recent AI wave. And Tesla's sitting there saying, if this is the bottleneck, we're not going to wait and get price gouged here. We're going to, verticalize as we've done with a lot of other things and drive forward to the finish line.
Yeah, super interesting. And I think the idea that they're running a similar playbook that they have in the past, in batteries, and I'm sure other areas, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's, it speaks to kind of the advantages and the vertical integration and nature of Tesla as a company.
So once again, just to confirm, literally every single thing we heard in this video has been confirmed by the fact checkers as false. They never make mistakes. There's no agenda, so you can trust the fact checkers. They said it's false, it's false. They said it's for your protection, it's for your protection. Wait, what? Why did I say that? That's weird. I better edit that out. And now a few more thoughts from ARK Invest's Tasha Keeney.
Arguably America's hottest big stock. Joining us now with insight is ARK Invest Director of Investment Analysis and Institutional Strategies, Tasha Keeney. Tasha, thanks for joining us again on Last Call. I mean,
thanks for having me.
It's tempting to just ride this Tesla train, but at the same time, is it smart to maybe take some profit in what has been a rocket of a run?
Well, our price target for Tesla over the next 5 years is that we think it has an expected value of roughly $2,000 per share.
For those of you keeping score at home, that's about an 8x from where Tesla stock is today in the next 5 years. Of course, given the fact that Tesla doesn't have a lead in terms of autonomy, and autonomy makes up the majority of ARK Invest's expected valuation for Tesla, we should obviously ignore that because ARK Invest are crazy. And what data?
And, we're talking about American-made cars here, which is critical. It's great brand image. It's great for our country. It's great for tax credits. But, what the list does not show is that not all of these cars are made equal. And the advantage that Tesla has in software and in data is unparalleled compared to peers.
What is it with ARK Invest and this Russian disinformation? Data this, data that, Tesla, data advantage, autonomy, big opportunity. Why are they lying to us like this? Remember, Tesla doesn't have anything that Toyota doesn't already have. An analyst said that. Analysts are always right, especially analysts are always wrong.
And really, all automakers should be pursuing full autonomy, right? That's the future of the auto industry. Tesla, by our research, thanks to our associate Daniel McGuire, he put out some great stats today. We think that they're in full self-driving, their FSD software, their fleet is traveling over 1 million miles every 14 hours. That compares to just 2 million miles in the cumulative lifetime of Cruise, which is GM's autonomous car project. So, the advantage is really unparalleled, and we think this is what unlocks superior AI capability.
But how do they, I hear all that
at scale.
I hear that, Tasha. Now we got all these companies basically giving up and saying, we're coming to you, Tesla, for the charging standard, GM, Ford, and Rivian. But how do they monetize that? It's all cool, but how do you make money from it and justify these kinds of moves and valuations?
Yeah, well, I think, you brought up another great piece of news, which is Tesla's becoming the North American charging standard. This gives them, a look under the hood at what these other EVs are doing on the road, where they're charging, sort of what some of their usage stats are. But you can imagine that this is kind of a gateway drug. I mean, Elon Musk said that he'd be willing to license autopilot technology. And again, I don't think that all of the traditional automakers will be able to achieve full autonomy. So they're doing charging today, but maybe tomorrow they're going for autopilot because they can't make autonomous technology themselves.
Well, it's with a heavy heart and a great amount of embarrassment that I would just like to apologize to everybody watching this YouTube channel, especially my Patreon subscribers, especially those of you who have access to my Tesla valuation model. Unfortunately, I was fooled by all of the propaganda, the Russian disinformation, the laptop, and silly me from day one. I actually had Tesla licensing their autopilot/FSD software to other automotive manufacturers, and that was a significant portion of my Tesla valuation. But obviously, since they don't have a data lead, they don't have another saleable lead, This is never going to happen. It was never obvious that it was going to happen. And I should probably update my valuation model and delete all of that stuff now because it's since been disproven by the fact checkers. I'm very sorry for being near certain this would occur in the future. And I don't know why Tasha Keeney would repeat this again in 2023. This will definitely not happen.
And, I think any automaker that does not really won't survive over the next decade. So we think this is going to be a significant portion of Tesla's value over the next 5 years.
Is there there's no other Musk, we get that. But is there potential? But by the way, there's actually a guy that runs Tesla day to day, gets no credit. He has no social media presence. No one even basically knows his name, but he's probably the one actually in the office 18 hours a day. Is there another Tesla out there, a Rivian, somebody else?
Well, there's certainly other EVs.
No, I mean,
right?
You know what I mean? Like not other EVs, but like another Tesla potentially.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. I think Tesla is still at least 3 years ahead of the competition on all fronts, on electrification, on autonomy. They're building a humanoid robot, given, the experience that they have in solving for full self-driving. So that's something that these other companies really cannot match.
Yeah. But again, I just wondered, all the cool stuff around Tesla and the stock. It's like I always say, Tasha, the economy is not the stock market. One can go up while the other's going down and vice versa. Tesla and its stock, at some point, are they the same thing or could they be different? And I mean, when a stock of this size doubles that quickly, you can't help a guy for having, the radar up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, ARK focuses broadly on innovation. And we find that, if you're looking backwards, it's very tough to predict sort of these exponential growth stories that we see. And I think that Tesla is just the perfect example of that. So again, I mean, we think that the expected value is $2,000 per share over the next 5 years. So this is just, it's been an amazing story, and we think it will continue to be an amazing story because of that unparalleled data advantage. Of course, they have a charging advantage. Also, they recently announced that they plan to have 100 exaflops of training capacity by the end of 2024. That's up from 4.6 that they announced last year at AI Day. So they're also going to have access to training that they can use for full self-driving, for their other AI projects that really very few companies have even access to, and they're actually building it in-house.
So, in short, there is a reason that I stopped buying Tesla stock with every spare cent and no longer see it as the best risk-adjusted opportunity in the stock market. And that is primarily because Tesla doesn't have an unassailable data lead. They're not blowing open the training bottleneck, and that won't lead to the solving of autonomy, the awakening of the robo-taxis, and the printing of trillions of dollars of future revenue. In short, there is absolutely nothing to see here. Please move along. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 shit, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. Constantly. I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon. And don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.